All right, good morning, good evening, good night, whenever you guys are watching this channel. First, subscribe. And I seen this speech that Governor Ron DeSantis gave, the Florida governor. I like this man. I wish he'd run for president. I'd be the first one to vote for him because I've been watching him here this last year, especially his stance on this COVID, his stance on masks. And I think he was a little frustrated how these people are doing, you know, trying to convince these kids to wear these masks all the time. And he said something, he told them to take off their mask if they want to, but the way he said it, it seemed like he was a little bit upset. And then you got MSNBC and CNN and NBC, they're running with this. They're trying to say, hey, he's threatening these kids to take off masks, but I don't think he was. He was just a little bit upset because of these mandates, how Fauci was doing things. But listen to what he said, and then we'll listen to the rest of his speech.
You don't have to wear those masks. I mean, please take it off. Honestly, it's not doing anything. We've got to stop with this. Don't let this be. So if you want to wear it, it's fine, but this is ridiculous. All right. Well, it's good to be at USF.
Okay, and you guys could leave comments, tell me what you think about that. But listen to these questions that was asked of him and how he answered them. Especially, they asked him, he said Fauci was in witness protection. I hadn't seen anything on Fauci right now. You know, Fauci, I call him the flip-flopper. You know, he's back and forth doing all this stuff. And where is Fauci at now? Where is he at? Is he in witness protection? Is he hiding? He got to go back on some of the things he told everybody to do. Hey, put on masks, put on double mask, and all that other stuff. And DeSantis also talked about these governors from these other states like New York and other places that has these mandates. They're taking these mandates out, but these same people that tell their people to wear masks and all this, they're coming to Florida on vacation. So why are they leaving New York and all these other places and going to Florida for on vacation, and they're not wearing their masks? He also talked about the Ukraine and Putin, and about they need to open back up this Keystone project. I really enjoy listening to Ron DeSantis, governor. I think he would be a good candidate for president. I'll be on board with him, but let's watch some of this together and you tell me what you think.
For children with disabilities. This morning, I just got off the phone with his mother, Kathy Lewis. Since 2017, her 25-year-old daughter has required care 24 hours a day. She is at home now. She's not in a facility. But now the state wants to cut that care by 8 hours. She's not sure why this is happening.
Is that legislation you're talking about?
She just got a letter from the Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
Can you show me the letter so we can look at it?
The letter, but
Yeah.
What would you tell this mother?
Well, I want to see it. I mean, you know, what happens is, you know, if there's a bureaucratic issue, you know, we want to come in and try to help people out. And so if you get that to us, we will absolutely work. I know the legislature is working on different things. You know, we've had issues. I mean, there's been a huge increase in Medicaid, of course, but the reimbursements are low, so those are going to go up because it's harder to get people, and folks need care. So you're going to see, I think, some issues with the legislature in terms of that. But that particular case, if you get us that, I will talk to the agency and we'll see what we can do.
The abortion ban bill is on the floor of the Senate today. I spoke with Senate President Wilton Simpson over the summer. He's a big supporter of this $8 million for a long-acting contraception program. A lot of health experts and doctors feel like that's the best way to cut down on abortions is by reducing unwanted pregnancies. I'm wondering if you agree with that approach and if you plan to veto that program as you did last year.
I don't recall that, to be honest with you, so I'd have to look and see and get back to you.
To the State of the Union, I know you said you fell asleep before it ended, but is there any parts of it you did agree with that you heard?
You know, I mean, I think I have to think about some of the stuff. Well, I mean, I agree. You know, if you think about what they've done, Fauci is in the witness protection program now. They don't want him out. They've never supported any. If you listen to them, they never supported all these policies that were so destructive. Now it's like, we all want to be like Florida all of a sudden, and nothing has changed. There's been no change in the underlying science. The ineffectiveness of those policies was apparent long ago. The destructiveness of those policies was apparent long ago. And they were the ones that were dipping their nose into Florida's business last summer, saying that 2-year-old kids needed to be forced masked when they leave the house, saying that school children had to wear masks for 8 hours a day. Now they act like that was something they didn't support, and they're saying that you don't do it. They actually said 2 weeks ago that everyone at the speech had to have an N95 mask. Then they changed it. How did the science change in 2 weeks? It changed. It didn't change. They changed that because they knew it would be a terrible visual to have all these people there suffering in mass, socially distant, while the rest of the country is out living their lives. And so I'm glad that I think it was because of politics. I don't think this was a legitimate conversion. I think they're getting negative polling, and I think most Americans associate these never-ending restrictions with their administration and like-minded governors and mayors. And it's interesting because for every governor or mayor that takes restrictive action, mandate, lockdown, almost all say, critical of Florida. How many of them end up on vacation in Florida over the last year and a half? And there's a lot that many of you know, but I can tell you there's even more that haven't been made public because people tell me these things because, they work at like a, resort, and they're like, wait a minute, if I was working in their state, I'd have been shut down, and yet they come down here and they're enjoying all this stuff. So I'm glad that they have pivoted off of it. I think it's been really damaging, and I think you're going to continue to see problems with what we're seeing with some of the school children, how they were treated in a lot of these different parts of the country. I mean, can you imagine, like, you're in Chicago or Los Angeles or some of these places, and you can't get your kid in school for the entire year last year? Or you'd go in one day a week, and then forget about all the mitigation once you're in school. But that is a huge, huge thing. That's going to have huge ramifications far into the future, and they were responsible for doing that. We stood up for kids in Florida. We stood up for parents. We stood up for education because we thought it was important, and I think our kids are going to be much better off than a lot of these kids in these other states. And even to that day last night, you have them saying no masks in the Capitol, which I support, but then they're still forcing kids in elementary school in certain parts of the country to do this. And so I'm glad that the conversion has happened. I don't think it's necessarily genuine. I think it's more driven by political science. But here's, I think, the stakes for just people in Florida and throughout the country. Once we get through that midterm election, I think people that are of that mindset will probably look to clamp down again. And so the only way you could be sure that your freedoms are going to be respected is to make sure that you're supporting people who have demonstrated a record of actually supporting your freedoms. Yes, sir.
I'm going to pause that right there. These other governors and all these people from these other states are telling people, hey, do what I say, not what I do. So they tell these people in their states, hey, y'all put on masks, but they go to Florida and go party and take their masks off. Oh, look at these hypocrites. But we'll go ahead and continue.
Address the crisis in Ukraine and how the president is handling it, and is there anything you would do differently if you were in charge?
Well, I said the other day that if you look at what's going on in someone like Vladimir Putin, I analogize him to basically an authoritarian gas station attendant. If you look at their country, it's a hollowed out country, but for the energy. And yes, they have legacy nuclear weapons, which makes them much more dangerous than if they didn't have those. And so he's in a situation where his ideology, I think, is try to reassemble some of the lost glory of what they had. Now, the Soviet Union was not a glorious entity. I mean, this was one of the most evil regimes in modern history, and the result was a lot of deaths because of Soviet communism and Chinese communism in the 20th century. But his view is that the dissolution of the Soviet Union was a bad thing, and so he's being fueled because America's not serious about energy independence right now, and Europe is not serious at all. So Europe is funding this guy, so he has the ability now to go in and flex muscle. When I was in Congress under President Trump, we funded a lot of weapons for Ukraine to be able to defend themselves. I think that has helped them put up a fight. I think that they've done better than a lot of people thought. Nevertheless, they're putting a lot of machinery, a lot of heavy equipment inside that country. That's going to be very difficult, for Ukraine to keep at bay indefinitely. However, what I think is going to end up happening is you're going to end up with like these Ukrainians engaging in guerrilla warfare, and I think it's going to be like death by 1,000 cuts. And so I think Putin is miscalculated. But if you want to hold Putin accountable, the way to do it is hit him where it hurts, hit him with the energy. But in order to do that, America, we would need to reverse the policies that Biden's put in place. We'd have to get Keystone back online. We'd have to do ANWR. We'd have to do production on federal lands. That will then get us to where we were, where we could be independent of Russian oil and be able to have a lot of leverage to use against them in this. But if you're not willing to do that, I mean, some of these sanctions, maybe they'll have an impact. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. I think a lot of the international opinion has really gone against Putin in ways that he didn't quite anticipate. So it may have an impact. But if you hit him on energy, that would be a crippling blow, and those oligarchs wouldn't like it. And Putin, he's propped up by the oligarchs. And so if the oligarchs lose confidence in him, then he would really be, I think, in a very difficult situation. But at the end of the day, this is a guy that is very aggressive, and I believe that the decision to go into Ukraine was one that was probably made last summer as he's watching what was happening in Afghanistan and the failed American, how Biden handled that. I think he sized that up. I think President Xi in China is sizing that up. I think the Ayatollah in Iran is sizing that up. And so I said you're going to have a lot of turmoil over the next 3.5 years, and unfortunately that's being proven correct. But hitting him where it hurts is really what you need to do to be able to really show that this was a big error in judgment. I think he miscalculated anyways. I don't think this is going to work out for him the way that he wanted to. And, when you see people that are willing to fight, I mean, it's inspiring to see these people just grab rifles who are civilians and going out there and fighting to ward off a Russian army. A lot of other places around the world, they just fold the minute there's any type of adversity. I mean, can you imagine if he went into France? Would they do anything to put up a fight? Probably not. And so those folks, are stepping up. But there's a lot of problems, I think, between now and then. And I think, unfortunately, it's going to end up very, very ugly over the next weeks and months. Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
I sure hope he runs for president. I know he can't say he's going to do it because, hey, as soon as if they think he's going to start running for president, they're going to start digging up everything. They're going to dig up his bank account. Maybe they found out he stole $5 somewhere. Or you see how they run in this first clip, how he was told the kids to take off masks. Man, they're going to try to find everything they can. But I really like this guy. He's real sincere. I think he'll be a good person to run for president if Trump don't run, or maybe Candace Owens as vice president. Man, we got a lot of candidates that can go out and they're trying to help people. But anyway, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. And again, have a great day. And if you really want to enjoy yourself, come and visit Texas and Florida. Hey, we got freedom here in these states. All right. Talk to you guys later.